Good evening, everybody. This is Galen Norris here from this week's racing news from Dirt to F1. We got you covered. Well, we had quite an interesting race here today at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the Pennzoil Jiffy Lube 400, won by the Pennzoil car, number 22 of Joey Logano. I'm going to give you a quick rundown on what I think of the race. I didn't get to watch the whole race because I was busy working today, but I did get to watch the extended highlights later on this evening, and I was very pleased overall with what I saw. The cars really seem to be running in a pack better. They seem to be able to pass. The leaders weren't getting way out there to the point you couldn't catch them, reel them back in within a stage and a long green run. So I was pretty pleased to see that. From what I saw, the middle of the pack was running around 10 seconds there or so back of the leaders, which, I mean, that's not actually extremely terrible if you really think about it. I'm very pleased with that. I was also pleased with some of the lesser-known drivers that were really running well today, the feel-good stories, as you may want to call them. There were a few bigger names that were kind of had a rough go of it today. Really, none of it was really actually too much racing related, just bad luck. Something happened to their cars, so we'll cover that too. I'm also going to cover the debacle over the qualifying penalties handled out yesterday and why I think NASCAR was a little wrong in their penalties. I think it should have been more severe for Joe Gibbs Racing yesterday than it was, considering a precedent that was set the week before with Timmy Hill at Daytona. So, I mean, that's some of the stuff. I'm going to go through the top 10 of the finishers today at Las Vegas, as well as some of the highlights of some of the other drivers throughout the field. Then we'll cover the top 10 in points, as well as who is in the final transfer spot into the chase in 16th. And then we will also go over in this episode a little bit about Ryan Newman with a little more information that was released about him today regarding his injuries and if he's going to be back in a race car. So the first thing I want to really get going on is I was really pleased with the racing. Like I said, I think it went well. There weren't a lot of wrecks revolved around the racing. I mean, the cars really seemed to be handling well. They would get, if you were like in the middle, 3 wide, yes, you still had some issues with losing the air on your car, but that's to be expected in that situation, especially when you're pack racing. It's easy enough to do it 200 miles an hour on a super speedway, let alone go to Las Vegas where the corners are tighter. It's not hard at all, and you're a little closer together trying to rotate the corner. As far as leaders, Kevin Harvick led quite a bit. Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, he led a fair amount, as well as Martin Truex Jr., Joey Logano got up front and led for a while. He eventually did win the race on a caution after they took the white flag on the green-white checker in that finish. They said he took the white. I kind of agree going by when they threw the caution. Can't really go against it. I'm not a fan of that, using that as a basis to restart a race. I mean, to me, I'm still of the old-fashioned. I would sooner end it under caution at the scheduled distance and not have people possibly getting hurt or having to rack them up and go again and then tear up more race cars. As far as any incidents that I really saw as a big deal, Martin Truex Jr. hit the wall during the race due to a flat left front. I think it was either left front or right rear, but he slapped the wall, did pretty good damage. Did rally back to finish 20th. Christopher Bell, he got loose on the off of the arrow loose off of Bubba Wallace's nose during the race. Saved it quite good. Dirt track racing really has helped that young man. He was able to reel it back in and keep going and only lost 2 spots. The other big John Hunter Nemechek, he had a couple close calls during the race. Chase Elliott cut a tire, did slap the wall a little bit, didn't do any major damage. in that. So, I mean, he didn't have a great day. He had a great day going and didn't quite end on the note he had hoped. William Byron was running pretty well, but he got scooped up in that last wreck. Ross Chastain in the 6 car was running well, and I do believe he got scooped up in that wreck or got shuffled back, one of the two, in that sequence. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. had a good run today in the number 47 Kroger Chevrolet. Matt D. Benedetto did very well in the number 21 Motorcraft Ford today in that. So that's, pretty, kind of a good sign that you're getting some of these lesser teams that seem to have struggled, last year are kind of starting to come to the front some. Good sign for the 6 car because it proves that even without Ryan Newman in the car, it's still running competitive, so that's a good sign. That maybe they're turning the corner at Roush Fenway and starting to get their cars in better shape for more competitive racing. Now, if we're going to do the rundown of the top 10 here of the race, your winner was, of course, Joey Logano in the Pennzoil Ford. Second went to Matt D. Benedetto in the number 21 Motorcraft Ford. Third went to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the number 47 Kroger Chevrolet. Fourth went to Austin Dillon in the number 3 Chevrolet. Fifth went to Jimmy Johnson in the Ally number 48 Chevrolet. Sixth went to Mr. Bubba Wallace in the 43 car, sponsored by Coca-Cola Energy, the new energy drink from Coca-Cola. So it was good to see he was doing well. It was rumored by on the pre-race that he had drank 6 Coca-Cola Energies. So that must have wired him up to have a good run. If that's the case, keep doing it, Bubba. I want to see you do well, and I want to see that 43 car return to glory again. 7th went to Brad Keselowski in the Discount Tire Ford. 8th went to Kevin Harvick in the Busch Ford. 9th went to Kyle Larson. I do believe he was driving his Aspen Dental car again today. And 10th went to the Geico Chevrolet of Mr. Ty Dillon. Some of the highlights I want to mention throughout the field, mind you, these can be good or bad. 16th went to Corey LaJoie in the number 32 Fastlane Racing Ford. So I was glad to see that after being in the wreck with Ryan Newman last week, that he was able to really come back and have a good race in that. And hopefully it's also a sign that the 32 car is coming to life and maybe will be even more competitive now that he's got more seat time and in his second full season with this team. 14th went to Kyle Busch. Of course, he started in the back, as we'll talk about with the penalties from yesterday. Denny Hamlin finished 17th. He was running up front some. I don't really think he challenged for the lead at any point, but he was competitive and running up and near the top 5 for quite a while. So I'm not exactly sure what happened, if he was also in that one wreck at the end or just fell back. 20th went to Martin Truex Jr. He recovered a little bit from his cut tire. 27th was Ross Chastain, and like I said, I think he was involved in that wreck at the end because he was doing fairly well. And then 33rd went to Christopher Bell as he got loose on the bottom on the exit of turn 2, and when he caught it and corrected it, it shot back into the wall and did pretty good damage. He ended up retiring himself from the race after that. So like I said, to see Stenhouse, Dean Benedetto, Dillon, Wallace, both the Dillon boys, Bubba Wallace up front running well, and then to see Corey LaJoie put in a good race, and then also, as I mentioned, with Ross Chastain running fairly competitive in the 6 car, even if it is temporary. Hopefully it's a good sign that, if put in the right equipment, he will consistently run well. I think Dean Benedetto is going to be really close to winning a race here this year, especially in that 21 car. I think with the backing he's getting from Team Penske at the Wood Brothers, I think he's getting a better shake of the hand and a fairer deal with them than he did with Gibbs when he was in the 95 car driving for Levine Family Racing. Now, Gibbs said that was not a satellite team, but you know it was, because then as soon as Christopher Bell needed to be put somewhere, they moved Benedetto out and brought Bell in. Even though Benedetto had now had a season of proving that he was worth keeping in that car and building something on. So I think with this combination, he is really going to be close to winning a race this year. If not, I think maybe he could run competitive enough, barring any bad luck, that he could very well make the chase this year, which would be awesome. I mean, he's not a very old guy. In fact, I do believe he's might be in his 30s, but barely. So I think there's a very good possibility that he could be a very competitive driver for years to come if he can catch on to a team like this and really build on it. So I think he'll do very well on this. So, I mean, positive thoughts for him. Bubba Wallace, I think this is a good emotional win for him, because, you know, he has kind of fluctuated where he kind of gets a good run going, and then during a race, and then he kind of falls off or falls back or has something go wrong, gets in a wreck. And it looks like to me he put together a pretty good race strategy today and got up there. So I don't want to jinx him in any way. I hope he does well. I've always kind of believed that he was kind of getting the rotten shake a few times with Roush when he was in the Xfinity Series. When he was with Kyle Busch racing the Truck Series, he proved he was capable of running well and winning races. So hopefully this is the turning point that he needs to get going. As far as Ricky Stenhouse goes in the 47 car, I kind of felt this was going to be his turnaround. He just had too many clouds hanging over him at Roush, and it was just time to get a fresh start and really leave the organization and start fresh, because it was to the point where you could see he just was not having fun driving that car. You know, he wasn't running competitive, but yet his teammate was. It kind of leaves you at that odd man out position. You kind of know you have the potential of being replaced if you don't up your competition. So I think this is good. He's got a different crew chief, different crew, different car manufacturer, totally different team. Just a fresh start, clean slate for him. I think this is proof. And then the way he ran last week at Daytona prior to the wreck, that he can really be a competitive driver and maybe put that 47 car up the final notch it needed to go to be competitive week in and week out and contend. Ty Dillon in the 13 Geico Chevrolet, that is nice to see. I mean, he has been capable of running well from time to time in that car. But like I said, to be able to log a top 10 and really get some decent points, that was good to see for him. So positive thoughts there for him too. Hopefully he can really get going. I mean, he's got a multi-year contract now, I do believe, with Germain Racing. So they should be able to really build on something there. Looks like maybe Jimmy Johnson's coming back into form again in his final season in NASCAR. It looks like he ran pretty much consistently up near the front all day today, which was kind of uncommon for him last year, because he would kind of run good and then something would go wrong. Either the tire would blow or they make a wrong adjustment. So I think this year now with this new crew chief and being their last shot together, to win a title for him, I think maybe he's starting to come back around and going to give it one more, he's reinvigorated and going, I'm giving it one more shot. So that's good to see as well. Your point standings now after 2 races, you have Logano leading the points currently with 82 points and 1 win. Second is Denny Hamlin with 70 points and 1 win, followed by Ryan Blaney in 3rd, Kevin Harvick in 4th, Kyle Larson in 5th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in 6th, Chase Elliott in 7th, Austin Dillon is now in 8th, 9th belongs to Chris Buescher, 10th belongs to Matt Benedetto. Your final car that could lock into the field this year at this point after 2 races in 16th is Martin Truex Jr. after the wreck today. Now, on the side note regarding Ryan Newman, he is currently sitting 22nd in points, 36 points total for him this year. It is not out of the realm of possibility if he returns within the next few weeks that he may not even need a waiver to qualify to run for the title, because he might theoretically fall within the point threshold to stay in the top 30 without a problem. But like I said, that's if he's able to return in a few weeks. Otherwise, he will have to have the injury waiver, which I think NASCAR will most definitely grant him for that after that wreck. And so that's to be decided. But currently, if things could change, things don't change much, and it kind of hits a lull where he's setting in points, he should be able to maybe theoretically get in without needing the waiver. Also regarding Ryan Newman, it was released today through the Associated Press, ESPN.com, and a statement from Roush Fenway Racing that Newman had no internal injuries to any organs or broken bones, but that he is dealing with some head injury. They didn't go into the specifics as to the head injury, but that he is suffering from a head injury and doctors are treating it, and that the doctors are very pleased with his progress the last few days. It sounds like, from Ryan Newman's standpoint, he wants to get back behind the wheel. So it'll just be a matter of time here when the doctors and Ryan Newman feel it's right for him to get back behind the wheel. As much as I would love to see him run for the championship in the 6 car and be competitive, I just ask Ryan, take your time. If you even have to sit out the season, do it. Get yourself right. We want the old Rocket Man back. We want you to be competitive and running well and that. And so take your time coming back. We're all praying for you for having a good recovery and that, and getting back behind the wheel. But don't rush yourself there, Ryan. Keep it up. Stick to your plan. Get healthy and that. So that's the update on Ryan Newman. Now, as far as the qualifying debacle, NASCAR really dropped the ball this week. Coming into practice, the 18, the 11, the 19, the 20, and the 95. That's 5 out of 6 Toyotas, because the 96 of Daniel Suarez is the 6th Toyota. He didn't have no issues. All failed pre-qualifying inspection due to body modifications that weren't allowed by using Body Bundle. Now, for those that would wonder what difference that makes, it makes a large difference because the car can be smoothened out in certain aerodynamically sensitive areas, and that'll make them handle it better, make them change the air different. So, there's many aerodynamic advantages. It's actually a very important advantage. So, for those of you that say, nah, don't make that big a deal, oh yeah, it does. It makes a big deal when you can change the aerodynamics of a race car in any way, shape, or form. So, they lost practice time. Come yesterday morning, prior to qualifying, the 11, the 18, and the 95 all failed inspection again. Same modifications done to the cars. Body Bundle was located on the race cars to make the car smoother and more aerodynamic, which is illegal under the rules. So they were handed, both teams, or all 3 teams were handed L1 penalties, a 10-point loss, crew member ejected, as well as practice time lost next week at Fontana. Well, the reason why I think NASCAR really dropped the ball was the week prior at Daytona. They penalized Timmy Hill 75 points, as well as crew member suspended even, and loss of practice time this week. So how is that equal punishment for the same penalties? It ain't. That's where I think NASCAR dropped the ball. All 3 Gibbs cars should have got the same penalties as Timmy Hill did. That's my personal opinion. I'm involved in racing myself. I drive I'm on a pit crew, and in the dirt track racing that we do, everybody gets handled the same penalties, no matter who you are. Whether you're a low budget team, high budget team, you all get handled the same penalties upon failures of inspections. I mean, yes, you can also appeal them, but they all get the same penalty handed to them, and that's the problem. I mean, NASCAR makes it now look like this was low budget team. You're going to get really penalized, so maybe we can drive you out of the sport. But Joe Gibbs, no, we're not going to get too crazy with you. You're only going to lose 10 points. So, I mean, NASCAR's kind of got to adjust that a little bit. I mean, you can't, it's just not a good optic to have, two situations that are similar, and then they penalize them two different ways. So, I don't care for that. I hope NASCAR looks into that and changes it. So, but, like I said, they did what they did, but I mean, that's just my take on it. In my personal opinion. So I'm probably going to do a video later on this week talking about ways maybe NASCAR could change the weekend formats, so then that way this kind of penalty, or the penalties, can be handed down more in an even fashion, and then the method I will suggest will also curb some of this cheating that may happen, because it's more of an at-random situation that you might get caught. But I'm going to leave that as a teaser for the next video, because I'm going to go more in depth into why that is. And those of you that know dirt racing will have kind of an idea where I'm headed when you start watching that video. So please be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel for more in-depth analysis of NASCAR, dirt racing, IndyCar, or Formula One. Leave me any comments as to content or questions you may have. Feel free to debate me on anything. I'm always open to hearing others' opinions and lending my ear to that. Maybe you can change my mind and stuff. So thank you for watching, and look forward to more videos coming forward. This is this week's racing news from Dirt to F1. We got you covered with Galen Norris. Thanks for watching.